This week on What to Watch, HBO's The Nevers asks, what if X-Men, but in Victorian London?
Could be fun.
Nasim Pedrad enrolls Chad in awkward TV high school.
Sorry!
And I get a chance to audition my questions for the judges of American Idol.
Do you need the prompter?
Don't skip the intro, people. It's time for What to Watch. Hi everyone, and welcome to Entertainment Weekly's What to Watch, the show where EW staff help you solve your viewing dilemmas. I'm your host, Gerrad Hall, and stuck in this canal of TV fandom with me are digital news writer Rosy Cordero, associate editor Derek Lawrence, and senior writer Samantha Highfill. Hey everyone, how are you?
What's up?
I can't believe you just made a canal reference. I'm not.
You never know where he's gonna go. You never know.
It's so true, but at least we're all afloat now, right? That's the good news here.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's get to it. Back in 2018, when HBO announced it had picked up The Nevers to series, there was a lot to be excited about. It was the new show from Buffy creator Joss Whedon, set in Victorian London, about a group of women who discover they have superhuman abilities. But 2.5 years later, the global pandemic has split the show's first season into two parts. We've had about a dozen more superhero shows, and Joss Whedon left in late 2020, a couple months before allegations were made of abusive on-set behavior by him on other projects. All right, Sam, so when this was announced, I'd say HBO was pretty right. They were safe here in assuming there was no way this was not going to be a huge hit. But now I'm wondering, should they have said never to the Nevers?
I don't think so. I still think it's gonna be a hit. I'm intrigued to see how big of a hit it becomes. I truly don't know, but I think, yes, there have been a ton of, kind of superhero-esque supernatural shows in those 2.5 years, but this really does feel different. I do kind of often think X-Men when I think of it, because it's just like a group of special people trying to figure out their powers, and a bunch of kids are coming together and they're being guided, but it's all women. I mean, there are some men who have been affected by this, but it's, I would say 95% women. Yeah. And it is set in Victorian times, which feels very different from a lot of the kind of shows of that vein that are on right now. So I still think it has just as much of a shot to be a hit as it did 2.5 years ago.
Agree. And one thing that I will say here, these people who, these women who have powers, and some men, as you mentioned, they're called the Touched, which I wish they would have rewritten. But anyway,
I would like to collectively decide to call them something else. I haven't decided what that is, but I will say in the context of the show, with their cool accents, it sounds fine. But us saying the Touched, it's not great.
Yeah, agree. Okay, all right. Let's address the Firefly in the room, if you will. Do you think Joss Whedon's departure is a hurdle that this show is going to be able to overcome?
I do, if only because this is kind of a sad note, but look at how many people have been accused of things and are still thriving in this industry. I think within Hollywood, the show might take a little bit of a hit. But I think in Iowa, where some mom is popping on the Nevers or whatever, there are so, I was talking to the stars about this. Most people don't even know what a showrunner is. My mom didn't know the term showrunner until I started working at EW. And a lot of people
tend to call them the boss.
The boss, right. Yeah. Exactly. To simplify it. And so, and a lot of people don't know who Joss Whedon is, which kind of sounds crazy coming from us in our world. But so I think a lot of people are still going to be able to watch this just as hey, look at this cool new show. And it is a very creative, very cool new show. And so I think it will survive past it, especially, I mean, like you mentioned, he's really only involved in the first 6. So if they can get past those first 6, I think they'll be good.
We've got a cast here that includes Laura Donnelly and Anne Skelly are the leads. Olivia Williams is also in the cast, James Norton. Tell me what you love about them and these characters they are kind of embodying here.
Yeah, I will say Laura Donnelly, who I only knew from Outlander, and Anne Skelly, who I hadn't seen before personally, they're fantastic. I thought they were sisters for the first episode. They're just best friends, just so everyone knows going into it. But they just have a great rapport. I mean, it's in some ways, it's very much so a classic Brain versus Brawn. Laura Donnelly plays the one who's going to get into a fight. And Anne Skelly plays
And
Penance.
she does.
And she gets into a lot of fights.
Yeah.
And Penance is like the inventor. She comes up with these really cool like cars and things. So it's a really fun dynamic, and there's also this show does a really good job of, I have some questions. There's a little bit of mystery around, are these two women, are they really just trying to save all of these, touched women? Yeah. Ugh, I hate it. We got to come up with something new. But are they really just trying to save them, or is there something more to it? And I think they do a good job of playing that as well.
I will certainly be tuning in to see where this all goes. We need to take a quick break, but strap on that oversized backpack because we're talking Chad when we get back. Welcome back to What to Watch. SNL and New Girl alum Nasim Pedrad is going back to school, and I, for one, could not be more excited. In the new TBS comedy Chad, which premieres April 6th, the comedian plays the titular character, a 14-year-old boy who's just trying to fit in and look cool as a newly minted high school student. And on top of general high school awkwardness and stress, Chad is also grappling with his identity as a Persian-American teen and figuring out where he belongs. This show has been described by EW as painfully funny, but Derek, does the cringe outweigh the comedy?
Well, I mean, I would say like maybe they're exactly even on the scale, which maybe that sounds like a bad thing, but I love cringe comedy, even though I hate it at the same time.
There's so much of it here too.
Oh man, there's legit. And I was talking to Nasim about this in the first episode. It's within like the first 8 minutes. There's a sequence in a hallway. I won't spoil it, but I was so uncomfortable and felt secondhand embarrassment for the character Chad that I actually had to skip ahead a few seconds.
But that's the beauty. She commits Nasim to everything here.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that might sound like a bad endorsement, but that's actually a ringing endorsement for me. Yeah. And I love that they actually, talking to Nasim, she said they definitely enjoyed testing the limits of how far they could go, and maybe even realized a few times that, nope, we went too far. We cannot do this. This is, still children technically on this show. Yeah.
And it is TBS. It's not premium cable.
Exactly. That's why I can't even imagine. This was originally ordered at Fox 5 years ago. I cannot imagine this show on Fox. No. I mean, Fox, the raunchier of the, networks, but still, I mean, this show probably belongs on, HBO in a ideal world. But, I mean, it's the funniest new show of 2021 so far. And maybe even just the funniest period. Like, it's so good, if this is your kind of thing.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because, there's a lot of cringe in other shows that are kind of in this genre, like Pen 15. Do you feel like there's some overlap here?
I mean, I feel like on Pen 15, at least when I've seen the clips or whatever, like you can still tell. And that's part of the absurdity of it, right? Like it's like pretty blatantly obvious that like, that they don't belong there. But with Chad, I was sitting there watching with my family the NCAA tournament, and they've been running Chad ads throughout it. And I had to explain to my family, I was like, no, like this is a 39-year-old woman playing that awkward 14-year-old boy. And they immediately, their interest shoots up. Like, maybe on the surface with just some of the ads, they're like, oh, I mean, yeah, that's kind of funny. But I'm like, and then I explain to them the backstory, and they're like, oh my God, that's insane. Like, and they're, now they're interested in checking it out. So I don't know. I'm not to give notes to the PR team over at TBS, but I say maybe push that out a little bit more.
Let's talk about some of the supporting cast here. We've mentioned how great Nasim is here, and I would campaign for her all day for a lead actress Emmy nomination. But let's talk about the supporting cast and what you love about this group. She kind of has the family and the friends groups kind of going on here.
Yeah, I'd say sadly for Chad, probably just one friend. A lot of friends, people he hopes or his friends, he aspires to them be his friends. But yeah, I don't know. Apart from so Jake Ryan, who plays his best friend Peter, he was in 8th grade, like a movie I think we don't talk enough about. But other than him in that movie, I hadn't seen any of these people, not at least that I can recall. And they're all so good. Chad is such a big and outrageous character that this would turn into a cartoon if you tried to surround him with other big characters. So they made the really smart and conscious decision to provide, these real level-headed, grounded people around Chad that kind of, get to react to his insanity a bit. So you have Peter, his best friend, who's just like the complete opposite of Chad, just kind of along for the ride. You have his mom, who's single and dating, and there's some comedy that comes from that in an unexpected way. And then he also has his uncle Hamid, who is the most... Hamid and Peter, I dare anyone to watch Chad and not fall in love with these two very different people. They're just the sweetest characters I think I've seen in a long time, and you just want nothing but the best for these angels, and you wonder why they're even around Chad. I mean, I guess if you're uncle, you don't really have a choice, but you know, you could leave. I don't know, but but you just admire. You can't help but admire them for their loyalty and dedication to this kind of outrageous person.
Yeah, they commit. It's so good. If you can't tell, you guys, we love the show. Chad, definitely watch it. All right, we need to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're going from rebellious teen to plain old rebel. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Hey babe, my hair is all right because rebel. Next week sees the premiere of ABC's brand new series inspired by the life of Erin Brockovich titled Rebel. Did you guys like that Bowie reference there? Brockovich is, Erin Brockovich specifically, is also executive producing, and the drama stars Katy Segal as Annie Rebel Bello, a witty, smart, and fearless woman without a law degree who's fighting against injustice. Rosy, how are you feeling about this series? Can we look past the fact that they're calling the titular activist Rebel?
You should not look past that because that's what makes her so badass. She's out there fighting for the little guy, and she's not afraid to break the rules here and there to get the answers that she needs, to get the justice for the people, and you know, when she's fighting against the man. So should you look past beyond the title of Rebel? No, you need to embrace this is the rebel woman we need in our lives.
All right. I mentioned before, Erin Brockovich is also executive producing. How much of a hand did she actually have in the development of the project? Like, is it kind of loosely based or very much based on her work and career?
So the official answer is, while you're watching, certain things may pop up that you'll say that's her life for sure, but it's intentionally vague, where you're just kind of looking and wondering, like, did she really do that? I would imagine that often the answer would be yes. And I spoke to Erin the other day, and she was saying that while she does pop into the writer's room often, she has never had to give any notes to Katy Segal because she just gets it. She gets who Erin Brockovich is, and it comes off wonderfully on screen.
Nice. All right, Krista Vernoff, who runs Grey's Anatomy and Station 19, that showrunner title we talked about earlier, she's the boss. She's also the boss here on Rebel. So between Krista and Katy Segal and Erin Brockovich, the other women in the series, I feel like that's translating into something here that's like a very empowering message for women.
By the end of the premiere, all women will probably stand up and salute like all of womanhood, and all the males will step in line and know that they are behind, because this show is so badass. And that's not even counting all these other women on the show: Tamala Jones, Lex Scott Davis, Daniela Garcia, Andy Garcia's daughter, is on this series, and Ariela Barrer. So lots of girl power, and yeah, guys, step into place. It's over there.
Okay. All right. That's fair. You mentioned Andy Garcia. He, in addition to his daughter being in the cast, Andy is also in the show, as is John Corbett. Are they keeping up with the force that is Miss Segal here?
Yes, totally. But it's definitely challenging. And that's kind of what you see play out in these episodes. So John Corbett has been together with Rebel for about 10 years. And she has an ex-husband club. Everybody kind of gets along. She has 3 kids from different dads, and everybody's kind of kosher. So John Corbett is known for playing the nice guy. You know, he's Aiden Shaw from Sex and the City. And here his character Grady is a little bit more shady. Now, as far as Andy Garcia, he is the longtime friend and employer to Rebel. I'm foreseeing a lot of Rebel getting fired and getting rehired. And he finds himself caught up in kind of like this big case that's set up in the premiere episode. And there's this really cute line in the premiere. I can't give away too much, but it talks about, Cruz is Andy's character. His wife, who is now deceased, was best friends with Rebel, and she drops the comment that Cruz has a really nice bootay. So that's something to look out for too.
All right, all right. I was going to say
Sold.
they're butting heads, but also she's complimenting him. All right, all right.
Yeah.
Lastly here, obviously,
That's
Erin.
very much their relationship, where it's
Got
very
it.
like, I love you, I hate you.
Okay, all right. Well, that makes for fun TV. Obviously, Erin's story has been told before in the movie starring Julia Roberts, directed by Steven Soderbergh. Do you think, though, the story has more legs as a TV series because there's just more material, more time, more seasons to get into important topics?
100%. This woman doesn't stop. She's currently taking on the man again. I'm not even sure if I should say. She said it was like a chemical company right now. So content they will not be without. So
Yeah.
this could go on for many, many seasons, and I really hope that it does.
Yeah, well, certainly looking forward to that. All right, thanks, Rosy. We need to take a quick break, but when we return, we've got some super special guests who I think you might idolize. Haul out, Seacrest in when we get back. Welcome back to What to Watch. You guys, I am so excited because joining me now from American Idol are judges Luke Bryan, Katy Perry, and Lionel Richie, host Ryan Seacrest, and mentor Bobby Bones. Hello, everyone. How are you?
Fantastic. Well, it's good.
Hi.
What's up?
Good. Well, great to see all of you, and thank you so much for being here. I got to say, there are times when I have been watching this show, and I feel like all of you have been giving us like therapy sessions with the advice that you are giving. And Katy, I'm also looking at you here because there are things that you've said, like these very specific things, and I'm like, I don't know where the hell that came from, but I needed that right now in my life. Are you guys like, are you reading up on like great things to say to people? Where's all this coming from?
I think that's probably because I've been to a lot of therapy, and I'm always, so I'm hearing nuggets from my incredible therapist and probably regurgitating them. And Lionel is just kind of a born Buddha, and Luke, he
I'll take that.
we're all artists and we've been in their shoes. We've walked in their shoes. We know exactly what it feels like. And that's the difference, I think, with this panel is that we are working musicians, artists, and we've been starving artists before. So we can really relate to their situation.
Yeah, she's dead right. I mean, been there, done that. That's basically the whole thing about what we're doing. A lot of times people say, well, how did you come up with that? I just go, just live about 40 years in the business and you'll come up with the same answers too. It just takes time to develop that kind of knowledge.
For Ryan and Bobby, I mean, last season that ended with virtual performances. I'm assuming the two of you must be thrilled to be getting like back on the stage and back behind the scenes, like really interacting with the contestants.
Yeah, I think, for us, all of us, to be in an environment where there's energy, we come alive too. I mean, we all feed off of that. The fun that we have is exponentially more when we're around people. And I think that the performers, they feel like performers, obviously, too, when they're on the stage. Wouldn't you say, Bobby?
And I think, too, for me, it was tough because I'm not only helping them with how to win the show, but also, like, I come from a pretty rough background, the same as a lot of these contestants. And I'm their life coach on the set. Sure, I'm working with them on, okay, pick this song, do this. This is what Luke likes. This is what Katy likes. But I'm also like, hey, listen, I grew up without a mom. I grew up without a dad. I had to raise myself. I had to and to have someone that they can relate to there with them in person is very valuable. It was tough on a screen. It's all tough on a screen. So I'm glad to be back.
Katy, when we were talking earlier about the the great advice that everyone is giving, I feel like you, in many ways, kind of helped save Althea Grace and Camille Lamb, bring them together when they were feeling like the chemistry wasn't there, something was off, and you had great advice to them, and that performance was so good from them. And then you set the internet ablaze when you turned around and you were talking between Luke and Lionel, and you said, "Can you imagine if Taylor and I worked together, what we could do?" So, yeah. So
we have worked together. We have worked together for the good of, I think, young girls, and that we've mended past wounds, and so I think that these days it's cooler to have women support other women across the board in all fields, especially in music, because I think women are held to such an insane standard. They're asked crazy questions that, their male counterparts would never be asked. I think if we can support each other and lift each other up and advocate for equality, that's movement forward.
Yeah. Will that support in any way extend to a song together?
I always there's always opportunity for collaboration again with wonderful people.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great answer.
It really was. It really was.
Well done.
Well, last thing I want to ask you guys here as we head out. If all of you were to audition for American Idol right now, your career was just starting, how do you think you would do on the show?
Well, I'll go first. I would do terrible. I would do great, but be terrible, and I would win by being terrible, and there'd be a controversy, and they would change the rules, much like a dancing show I went on. Exactly the same.
I'd probably make it to Hollywood Week, and then I'd probably get intimidated by, these huge voices and be like, I'm out. I'm taking my guitar and I'm going elsewhere.
I can probably answer my question. It would probably be I would pass out on the first audition. And probably never even see Hollywood Week or any week, because once you get psyched out with that voice over here or that voice over there, you go, I'm out. I'm gone. No way.
Oh, I'm top 10, baby. I'm top 10. No doubt.
That's the attitude. There you go.
I think on this call, I actually am the only one that had to audition for this show. I actually had to audition for this, and I was the second host to get hired. So I'm happy to still be here.
Wow.
Well, that is it for this, you guys. I really thank you so much for joining me. American Idol airs Sunday and Monday nights. ABC duets are coming up.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Good to see you, brother. Take care.
Well, that is it for our show today. I want to thank my guests, Derek Lawrence, Rosy Cordero, and Samantha Highfill. You can check out my full interview with the American Idol crew over at EW.com. We will see you next week on What to Watch.